Thanks for coming in today. All right. We are in the 152, the JPLogistics modded 152, Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. And we are going to do some maneuvers. Some private pilot maneuvers. And we're going to do some Bayport Aerodrome action, 2-3 November. Definitely one of my favorite spots to fly. Both on VATSIM, Microsoft Flight Sim, X-Plane 11, real life, doesn't matter. Let's take a look at this strip here. Again, our buddy Sean has made the mod here for this Bayport Aerodrome in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. And he has done a darn good job with it. It looks way better than the default. You can see we're going to be using the westerly strip here. There's the one that's open on his scenery. Bayport Aerodrome, of course, out on Long Island. 2-3 November is the identifier. We're going to be taking off and landing back here at Bayport for what we're doing this evening. But we're going to be spending most of our time out over the water in the south practice area, out over the Atlantic Ocean, just south of Long Island. Which is pretty much where I did all of my flight training. All the maneuvers I did was either over the Long Island Sound to the north in the north practice area, or the south practice area down over there. I've realized that my drone cam is on hella slow speed, but I'm just giving you guys a quick overview of the Bayport Aerodrome here. Very slowly showing you guys all of the Bayport that our buddy Sean has helped to create for us here in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. I'm too lazy to increase the speed on the drone cam. Nice little windsock action here too. He's got the hangar over here, is kind of nicely done as well and everything. So overall, just a great little scenery. You can find this on the Flight Simio, I think it's called. Flight Simio, is that the site? I believe you can, or I'm sorry, Nexus Mods, that's the one. If you go on Nexus Mods, that's where you can find this 2-3 November Bayport Aerodrome that our buddy Sean has created for us here. I don't have the link available to me at the moment. If I did, I would share it. I apologize, I don't have the link, but this is taking a while. Let's go ahead and bump up our drone cam speed here. Whee! South, great. Yeah, I like the south practice area greater than the north practice area too, personally. That was always my preference when I was instructing, or as a student even. But you gotta spice it up, you gotta change it up. But for me, south was always the better practice area. Good looking bird. Again, JPLogistics modded. This is version 0.9.9 that they've got out right now. So hopefully it actually works, because I haven't test flown it yet. But hopefully it'll do what we need to do tonight for the potential maneuvers. Kind of try and show those off as best I can here. Alright. Cockpit. First things first, we gotta show the Bayport video. Now, if you're watching this early on in the stream, I apologize, because I'm probably going to show the video again towards the end of the stream when I'm coming back into land when there's more people watching. But we'll run it through, just because. Learn how to get in and out of Bayport. We're using runway 18. Runway 18 is going to be the active runway at Bayport for the event. Or for the event. For what I'm doing this evening for the stream. There's no event, just for the stream. So,
is to acquaint pilots who are unfamiliar with the Bayport Aerodrome to the procedures in approaching and departing the aerodrome safely and without conflict with the islip Class C airspace. The common traffic advisory frequency at the Bayport Aerodrome is 122.7.
because it's VATSIM, we're going to use 122.8, which is the VATSIM Unicom frequency, so we don't have to worry about the frequency here.
70. New York approach is 118.00 or 120.05.
There is actually an approach controller on right now. But it's on 2012. We'll see. I'm debating if we're going to get the flight following or not.
On runway 36.
So again, we're at 18, so this is not what we need to see. Yeah, let's go ahead
runway
and
36, but you can use the entire development with 15 brand new luxury homes. If you can make a turn before you go over the houses, that's fine. If you can't, Practice
this
safe
is
flying.
departing
Make your
36,
left turn
36.
till
We
you
want to get
cross
to 1.
without a radio. All you have to do is
So,
approach
let's see.
the Bayport towards the Marine. Parallel the street line
Zoom in.
look
This
down left.
is...
It's a runway closed and the open VATSIM. 42 feet. One. But anyway, on a runway, the other
Okay, here we
runway
go.
will be used. They're generally marked with an X, whichever is closed, and the open one is the one with the white threshold markings, and generally where the other airplanes are landing. Don't hit the VATSIMs, please. The elevation of our airport is 42 feet. Okay, here we are. We're taking off on a runway.
This is what we need to know for tonight, because it's runway 18 at Bayport. Titanium Druid, thanks for
All
coming.
you got to do is climb up to about 600 to 650 feet and go straight ahead. But anyway, if you look down, there's the nice houses down there. And again, once you get down to and cross the shoreline and you're over the water of the Great South Bay, you can go up to any altitude except above 1,500 feet. You must stay below 1,500 feet unless you call New York Approach and get clearance into the Class
So 1/8's
C
easy.
airspace.
Take off, runway heading,
Now,
stay below
You
700.
can keep on going straight out to Fire Island, which doesn't really show up too well in the video, but it's only about 3 miles offshore, straight ahead. And once you get to Fire Island and cross the Barrier Island, then you can go up to any altitude you want. You're in uncontrolled airspace out there. Knock yourself out. Down there on the right, in the center of the screen, you'll see
This is
the
going to be
jetties
important when we
coming
come
out
back.
by the
And again, I'm going to,
entrance
you guys, the
to
early
where the
guys,
start-
for the guys that are just here for the stream nice and early, I'm going to show this video again, probably. I'm going to try and remember right here. So about 5 minutes, 20 seconds, I'm going to try and remember that. And we're going to redo the how to get in runway 18 later on the later on in the stream. Someone remember 5 minutes and 20 seconds.
Approach for runway 18. When you're about here, you'll call Bayport Aerodrome.
Okay, we're going to use 122.8 for VATSIM.
And say Bayport traffic, Navy, N3N, over the shore for 18 Bayport. Notice we're banking slightly to the right because the river does split. Up ahead, you'll see what they call the Sans Souci Lakes, and we're staying above those lakes. And just to the right of the screen, you'll notice now that the Bayport Aerodrome is in sight. You'll notice that when we start to parallel the runway, we should call Bayport traffic, Navy, downwind, runway 18, because now you've entered downwind. And we're going to get ready to turn base. What we want to do is keep one thing in mind. Right down there where you see all that traffic, that's Sunrise Highway, Route 27 on your road map. We don't want to cross Sunrise Highway because that puts us in Islip MacArthur's airspace from the surface to 1,500 or to 700 feet. So we want to stay south of Sunrise Highway. We are turning base, and we're going to be turning final. You'll notice that your base to final is very short. It's almost a U-turn, especially if you have a tailwind from the west when you turn, or a wind from the west.
Which
So here
today we will
line
have a
up
wind
with
from the
runways
west. The wind is
for
2507.
runway 18. Be sure you land on the open runway. We expect you to do a good job.
When you're making your approach to runway 18, make sure you don't cross Sunrise Highway because
That guy looks like he's had a few.
Go into airspace that we don't belong in. See? When you're taking off runway 18, make sure when you lift out, you don't go above what? 700 feet.
Don't go above 700
Go
feet.
straight out to the bay. Don't go.
Okay, what we'll do is I'm going to remember 520. Let me just mark it like right, let's see. This will do, like right there. So mark that. I'm going to save that because we're going to show it again when I get closer to like the landing portion of what I'm doing in the stream later. And we'll go from there. Let's turn this airplane on. Batteries, avionics, lights, why not? Do. I already set the fuel. Let's give it a prime. Clear prop. Okay, nice try. Probably help if I put some mixture in. There we go. Did I not turn the fuel on? Apparently I didn't turn the fuel on, chat. There we go. That's probably going to explain a lot. Let's try again. Clear prop. There, that's more better. Pretty quiet, huh? Let's go ahead and bump up the sound of the plane a little bit. It's pretty quiet. There we go. Alright, she started. We'll go ahead and remove the parking brake. And make sure that, again, rear comms on. 122.8 is where we're going to start. That's Unicom. 2812 is the controller that's controlling this area right now. We might get flight following from him. I'm going to have it in the back just in case. I haven't decided all the way if I'm going to get the flight following or not yet, but we'll see. Don't need it in the South practice area, but it's encouraged, especially in the real world. Alright. Looks like an airplane to me, feels like an airplane to me. We're just going to taxi right out over here to runway 18 at Bayport and do that departure. Again, straight ahead, at or below 600 until we get to the shoreline. Then we can go up to 1,500. When we get to the outer shoreline and go beyond that, which we're going to do, then we can climb to whatever altitude we need. And we'll climb to a safe altitude for maneuvers, at least 3,000 feet or more for the maneuvers that we're going to do. Bayport traffic, Cessna 124 Mike Charlie taxi, runway 18 Bayport. So the cones lead the way here, like a little mini taxiway almost. Hey, look, we got like a guy over here watching us, chilling. Got real weather, not real time, because you can't do Bayport at night, so it's not real live time, but it is real weather. So there's some realism in here. Alright. Easy peasy. First thing we're going to do, normal takeoff out to all the way to the south practice area. So we're just going to keep going straight ahead. Below 600, or below 700 until we get out to the bay, and then below 1500 until we get out past Fire Island. Yeah, there's no lights at Bayport. It's a daytime only airport. Dawn to dusk. Let's begin our journey. So to find local that's a good question. Usually they'll be marked with alert areas in most places. I don't know if they are actually marked as alert areas on Long Island or not. It's just kind of known if you do flight training on Long Island, you'll know it's the north or south practice area. You're just kind of taught that. I don't know if it's necessarily marked in any specific way, Jay Smitty, at least for Long Island. Once again, we got to stay below 700 until we get out to the bay here, which we're almost there already. But I'm just going to kind of maintain about this 500-600 feet until we get clear out over the bay before I climb any higher. And then we need to get past Fire Island, which you guys can see right out here. This is a Fire Island area, right, that outer shoreline. That's where we need to go past before we can go above 1,500. Because right now we're below the Islip Class Charlie shelf. So to give you guys a visual of that, I probably should have done this sooner. Here you go. So here we just took off out of Bayport. You can see the little cutout below 700, and then we have this outer shelf of Islip, which is below 1,500. So right now we need to stay below 1,500 until we get to the outer shoreline there. That's going to be a better visual representation. So we're out over the bay. I'm going to climb up a little bit here to about 1,000 feet. And we'll go out once we get to the outer shoreline. Let's see, is New York's approach still online? He is. I'll probably give him a call and get ourselves some flight following, just so we can have the ATC chatter. And it's probably going to be a lot of ATC chatter too, but that's good because that's what it's like in the real life. It's a lot of ATC chatter on that frequency when you're getting the flight following. So it helps us to kind of be able to kind of not only focus on the maneuvers, but you also have to listen for your call sign on the radio as well. So it'll be good practice all the way around for that kind of stuff. We'll get out beyond the outer shoreline. I'll climb up to about 3,000, roughly 3,000 feet. We'll start working on maneuvers. I'm going to roll right into slow flight first, I didn't really come up with a plan. I probably should have for what I'm going to do, but I think I'm going to start with slow flight, stalls, then we're going to do steep turns. Guess I'll go show you guys what you would call a flat turn using the rudders. Just kind of stuff like that. We'll do see if I can pull off an accelerated stall maybe. We'll do an emergency descent, and then we'll go into the ground reference maneuvers, so it turns around a point, and S turns across the road, and then we'll kind of see where we're at that point, and decide if we want to do more or if we want to go back into Bayport and do some landings. So I'm coming up now over the outer shoreline. I can climb to whatever altitude I want at this point, so I'm going to get up now and start going towards like 3,000 feet, and I'm going to switch over to New York Approach and give them a call, see if we can get some flight following.
Traffic.
JPL28.
Mr. Leroy, thank you for the host. I appreciate it. Thank you, Brant.
Sister, have a flight 28. Have a good night to 28.
New York Approach, Cessna 124, Mike Charlie.
124, Mike Charlie, New York.
New York Approach, good evening, Cessna 124, Mike Charlie. Just over the south shoreline, about 5 miles south of Bayport Aerodrome. 1,700 to Cessna 152, VFR flight following in the south practice area.
124, Mike Charlie. Sorry, I'm about to close in 2 minutes. Monitor 123.
Ah, alright, sorry to hear that, Carl. Appreciate it, though. 1228. Alright, so he's going offline. I won't have the ATC for the flight following, so we'll stay on the Unicom then. 22.8. Eric Flight, thank you for the host as well. Brant and Eric, thank you guys. I appreciate it. So let's go ahead, and I don't want to get too far away from the shoreline. I remember the last time I did maneuvers, I got too far from the shoreline, and when I tried to do my emergency descent, it didn't work out quite well. So we'll go ahead and keep the climb going towards 3,000 feet, but we'll try and stay somewhat close to the shore. Oh, we got our little buddy is going to be... That's actually annoying that the pilot is there. Let me see if I can change that. Pilot, front pack. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. I wonder if this will... Yeah, okay, good. Get rid of that guy. We don't need that guy because I want to be able to see out my window there. Keep this climb going here. Our nice little 152 climbing away. That's a good view right there. There's Long Island in all its glory. I'm going to get up to 3,000 feet. I'm going to get the airplane settled, trimmed out very nicely. And then what we'll do is we'll start doing some clearing turns and get set up for our first maneuver. Again, we're going to do slow flight first for our first maneuver. So here's 3,000. Let me see if I can get the airplane trimmed out somewhat decently. And then we'll go from there. I'm feeling I need a lot of nose up trim right now. That's what it feels like. Too much, a little too much. Oh boy. Over trimmed her. So before every maneuver, whenever you're in a practice area or whatever you're doing your flight training, especially out on Long Island, because the south practice area gets very busy, north practice area too, you have a lot of different flight schools at Farmingdale and Islip, Brookhaven, etc. That you really need to make sure you're always doing your clearing turns before each maneuver. Clearing turns could either be a 90-degree turn to the right followed by a 90-degree turn to the left, or you can do one full 180-degree turn really to go the opposite direction and use that. Call that as your clearing turn. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the 180-degree turn to the right, use that as my clearing turn. So you first look to the right, you clear right, you start a turn. It doesn't have to be a crazy turn. You don't want to do more than like 30 degrees bank when you're doing these clearing turns, and the idea is you're just looking all around and you're looking to see if you can see any traffic out in front of you, out by the side of you and all that. Make sure that there's going to be nobody in the way of you doing your maneuvers safely. Because the last thing you want to do, obviously, is run into someone else in the practice area while you're trying to do slow flight, steep turns, any of that. That's not going to be a good day. It is very common for the practice areas on Long Island to get busy, Smitty, because there's just so many different flight schools out on Long Island. So yeah, it can get incredibly hectic at times out here, and it can get incredibly crowded. A lot of times you will see other aircraft out there visibly, more often than not, especially when I was going through my training in Farmingdale. So, alright, so there's our clearing turn. I didn't see anybody out around us. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring the power to idle. We're going to constantly try and maintain our heading. We got about a 080 heading roughly. And we're going to maintain our altitude as we lose speed. And we're going to start to introduce our flaps. So I'm going to get the first notch of flaps in right here. Second notch flaps. And we're going to go all the way to flaps full. And we're going to just maintain this pitch, or maintain this altitude right now in this heading. And once we hear the stall horn, I'm going to try and ride the stall horn and keep right there. So there's a stall horn. I'm going to add a little bit of power. That power is going to help me to maintain my altitude, because now you're behind the power curve. So you use power for altitude, and you're going to use pitch for airspeed. And I know, remember correctly, the sim kind of needs way more power than you'd think compared to the real airplane to kind of maintain that altitude. So we'll go ahead and put that power in to kind of try and maintain that altitude. And now you're just trying to maintain your heading. And then from this setup here with the stall horn and everything, you're going to try and maintain altitude, maintain headings. You're going to turn right, turn left, climb, descend. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to turn to the right here. So I'm clear to the right, and I'm just going to start a right turn. And when you're doing slow flight, you don't want to do any more than about a standard rate turn. Otherwise, you're going to start to get uncoordinated and unbalanced very quickly. And you're going to need a lot of right rudder when you're doing this maneuver because of the P factor coming off the engine. So I've got that rudder in. I got the turn going. I'd like to try and maintain that stall horn as best I can. It's not always going to work. And you can see the airplane kind of breaks into a stall there. So we might not be able to ride the stall horn in this mod of the sim just because of the way the Microsoft Flight Sim does it. But in the actual airplane, at least in the Warriors, you were able to hold the stall horn. It could potentially be a little different in the 152. I mean, I've got an airspeed showing less than 40 knots, so I'm more or less in slow flight. So I guess I don't have to go super crazy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and roll out here, try and get back to my altitude if I can. 3,000 feet while I'm holding this, and you can see the airplane gets really wobbly. That's exactly what you're trying to learn. You're trying to feel like almost like the mush that you're flying in when you're flying really slow. You don't have as much air flowing over your wings, so the airplane's going to start to get really sluggish and really hard to control. And so that's why we teach the students to slow flight. So we're going to clear left, we're going to turn to left. I'm also going to pull the power back. I'm going to try and do a descent here with the stall horn. I'm going to try and go down to 2,800 feet while I'm doing my left turn to about a 360 degree heading. And again, you always want to look and see, make sure there's traffic. I'm doing way more than a standard rate turn there, so let me try and get that settled out. I think the sim, even more so than the real airplane, is a little bit touchy, especially doing the slow flight stuff. So here's the 2,800, so now I bring that power back in to try and maintain that altitude while I'm continuing my turn. Alright, and because I don't want to get too close to the shore and get into the islip airspace, I'm going to keep that right turn back now, go about east. Boom. So what are we talking about in the chat while I'm holding slow flight here? Saw the Cirrus and Cargo twin prop crash video that happened? Yes, I did. I saw at least the aftermath of it. It is pretty crazy that both airplanes were able to have the pilots survive. I know the Cirrus had to pull the chute, and of course the Metroliner was able to land and taxi in with the damage that it suffered, which is pretty wild. That's crazy stuff. So look at that. We're holding that slow flight. You gotta learn to love that stall horn when you're doing the slow flight. You gotta embrace it. Embrace that stall horn. And you gotta have that right rudder to keep that ball. You wanna keep that ball centered down here. So I got right rudder in to correct. You guys can't see my feet, but I've got a pretty decent amount of right rudder in to correct, to make sure that ball is centered. I'm gonna do one more turn. We're gonna do a full 180 degree turn to the west here before I set up and roll right into, pretty much we're gonna roll right into a power off, like a landing configuration stall, or what they call a power off stall. So we're going to have fully configured like we are for landing with the flaps full, and we're just going to take it right from slow flight when I get on the 270 degree heading to the west, and we're going to go right into just a standard power off stall, and we'll do the full recovery. So remember, big thing with the stall, you want to decrease your pitch, increase your power, and then you want to brake it as quickly as you can. Once you've gained some speed and you fix your angle of attack, then you want to kind of correct back to your original altitude, and you want to clean up the aircraft so that you speed up. And you don't want to do this too quickly, because if you go too quickly, you're going to create a secondary stall. So you need to make sure you get into the stall, break that angle of attack by getting the nose down, increase your power to full, and slowly pitch out of it. So that's what we're going to do right now on this west heading. I'm going to bring the power to idle. I'm just going to pitch to hold this altitude. I'm going to let the airplane stall. And the sim doesn't really simulate the stall very well, I guess. Hello? Okay, I guess that's the stall. That's not very good. Does not simulate the stall very well. So now we'll go ahead and pick up that speed. We'll start the climb. Positive rate. We'll start to bring out the flaps as we pick up our airspeed. That's kind of disappointing. I feel like it did it better the last time that I flew this. So I don't know if they had been messing with the physics more with some of these updates or what, but that was kind of lame. That was almost like the 175. You got to like an AOA limiter and it wouldn't let you stall. So I'm going to clean up all the flaps. We're going to go perfectly clean. I'm going to climb back up to 3,000 feet, and then we'll try to do an accelerated stall. But not too encouraged by the, power on stall. Not too encouraged there by the power off stall. See, let's try and get this thing trimmed out again for 3,000 feet here. Hotspot's community how it is almost non-existent right now. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, case in point. We'll see if we can maybe try to get it to do an accelerated stall. But the first thing we're going to do is we'll do some clearing turns. So the first thing you'll do is turn to the left 90 degrees. I'm going to do a better job of maintaining my altitude here. Make sure there's nobody else out here in the old practice area. Yeah, it was the same mod, but a different version, and I feel like it stalled a lot better in the last version that I did this in, which was a few months ago. So they've definitely done quite a few versions since, but it was the same plane, so I'm not sure why all of a sudden, you know, it went from semi-decent stall characteristics to that was non-existent. I mean, I'll have to run back the video, I guess, from the old one on YouTube and see if it was as bad or not, but I feel like it was better the last time I tried it, but whatever. We will attempt to do the power on stall here. So now power on stall, what you're doing is you're basically simulating if you stall on takeoff. Let's say you take off, you get distracted, and you just keep pitching up and pitching up without realizing it, and then eventually you can stall even with power in the aircraft. So let's go ahead and do cleared. We'll do it on this heading. And now let's go climb full power. And you just keep pitching up, pitching up, pitching up until you reach a stall. Okay, and so that actually was a very aggressive stall for the accelerated stall. So again, you already have the power in, so you're really just getting that pitch down, which the airplane kind of did for us very aggressively. Lower the nose, pick up your speed, we'll descend back down to 3,000 feet. So very interesting. Power off stall, non-existent. Power on stall, very excessive for the JPLogistics version 0.99, 0.9.9. So, again, I think in this case that was just a little more aggressive than it would have been. It would be fairly aggressive during the power on stall, but not like that. It wouldn't put you down like 20, 30, 40 degrees pitch down like it did there. But that was better than the power off stall, let's put it that way. So, I think we're just going to have to call it good right there with the stalls, because that's not a whole lot going on with those. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into steep turns. So steep turns are fun. We're going to do our clearing turn here to the right. We'll do a 180 degree steep clearing turn all the way to the east, so clear right. And we'll do our clearing turn here. steep turns are fun. We're gonna start at about 2300 RPM. And then, you seem pretty aggressive. Do it again. All right, I'm gonna do the steep turns, and then I'll roll into. We'll try the accelerated stall again, or the power on stall. Excuse me. After I do some steep turns here, we'll try it again. So there's a few things that you want to do with steep turns. Okay, the first thing, obviously, you want to get the airplane really nice and stable. And trimmed out nicely for the start here. So I've got my east heading that I want. I'm going to get it nice and trimmed out for 3,000 feet. And then you also want to have a visual reference. In my case, the shoreline, of course, is going to be my visual reference. And now, you're going to want to do full 360-degree turns to the left and to the right with at least 45 to 50 degrees of bank. And that's going to be your steep turn. And the idea is you want to maintain your altitude the entire time you're doing it within plus or minus 100 feet. And you want to roll out within plus or minus 10 feet of your initial heading. In our case, it's going to be the 090. And once you do to the left, I'm going to start to the left, and as soon as you finish your 360-degree roll to the left, you immediately want to roll into your 360-degree turn to the right. You do both left and right to complete the maneuver. Okay? So we'll go ahead and get ourselves nice and stable here. 090, 3,000 feet. I'm going to clear to the left, and I'm going to roll in. And then as you roll in past 30 degrees, you just want to bump up the power a little bit. You're going to need a little bit of extra power to maintain that altitude. And right here, now I'm going to use my pitch and my bank, maintain my altitude while also keeping a hold of the 45-degree bank right there. And I got to keep an eye on my heading, look for my reference point, because I want to roll out right on that east heading. So about 30 degrees prior to east, about 120, is when I'm going to start to slowly roll out to kind of get back on my original heading here. So about 120 right there, we'll start to slowly roll out and should come within about 10 degrees of my east heading just like that. And then you go right into the one to the right, or clear to the right, and you roll right in and you keep it going. Again, you adjust the power as necessary. Usually add power as soon as you get past 30 degrees bank, and you reduce that power again only by 100 RPM on either side when you get back to that 30-degree bank on the other end. So here we go. A little bit steeper this time. Cutting through, slicing through. You almost want to have the nose slicing right through that horizon there, and that's how you know you're going to be keeping your pitch. So I need to get that nose up just a little bit here. About that 060, you start to roll it out smoothly back to your east heading, and within 10 degrees, yeah, that would be within the PTS standards right there, a little bit off the east on the right turn. But both of those would have been perfectly acceptable for the private pilot standards. Nothing there. That was, you know, pretty easy physics on that one. Nothing wrong with that. Steep turns, those again would be good. I'm going to do it one more time just for fun, because I actually really enjoy doing those. So I'm going to get back to my 3,000 feet. Hey, maintain the 090, and I'm going to do them again just for the heck of it, because I enjoy doing those steep turns. And this is going to be just for you guys, just for fun. And like I said, I enjoy doing them. So we'll go ahead and get back, like I said, to the 3,000 feet. That's going to be close enough for me. We're clear to the left. We'll roll in. Past 30 degrees, slight increase of power. Get that pitch up. You want to split the horizon with the nose. See if I can't keep closer to 50 degrees bank this time. Let me get that nose up. Let me get that nose up. Not as clean this time with this one. Get that nose back up. Maintain that altitude. Definitely not as clean on the left turn this time around. There's our 120. We'll slowly start to bring it out. And then I'm clear to the right. I'll start my turn to the right. Again, let's get that 3,000 feet in. Very good. Increase that power just a notch. See if I can't do a better job maintaining my altitude this time by. For about that 060 right there. Start the roll out. You can see my shoreline right there. Right turn was good. The left turn was definitely sloppy though. No doubt about it. Yeah, it definitely looks amazing, that Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, there's no doubt. I mean, the physics, maybe not so much. I really should honestly probably try to do another stream in like the 172 or one of the other aircraft on the X-Plane 11 and see if the physics are better when it comes to these kind of flight characteristics on there. That's actually not a bad idea for a future stream, potentially. So, alright, we've done our slow flight, we've done our stalls. We'll try the accelerated stall again, John. Alright, so I've got my flaps, I'm clean, everything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start pitching up. Let's see if we can't maybe get up there and do, and we'll disregard how much we're climbing, but let's see, maybe I don't have to pitch as high up this time, and we'll see if we can get the accelerated stall, be less aggressive here. So we'll only pitch up maybe about that much. Get it, see if it'll break. Alright, yeah, so that was actually a lot less aggressive if I didn't pitch up too much. And there's the nose down, gets the brake, starting to come back up. There's my positive rate. Alright, and then I'll just stay at 3,500 feet. So you're right. I was probably a little bit too aggressive on the pitch up with that first power on stall because that wasn't as bad that time. So power on stall characteristics are okay. The power off stall was, and we're going to try it again. We're going to try the power off stall again now too, just to see if we can maybe get it to work better this time. So I'm going to get that power out, start introducing my flaps all the way to full here. Try and maintain roughly this altitude and this heading. See if I can't get a better power off stall this time. Maybe the sim will be a little bit kinder to us. Nah, it really just doesn't want to break with the power off stall. I'm almost have to relax the controls just to kind of get it to look like what it's going to look like in real life, but it really doesn't get to the break with the power off stall on the sim there with the characteristics. So that's kind of a bummer. But again, what can you do? I mean, that just kind of is what it is. It's just a matter of that's how the sim kind of functions, I guess. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do what I like to call straight turns. I called them flat turns before. They're actually called straight turns. And this is where you can turn the airplane using the rudder, and then you use aileron to correct. So you're almost like cross-controlling the aircraft, but you can make it so that it almost looks like you're doing a straight turn. So here we go. I'm going to do it to the left. I'm clear to the left. I'm going to put the rudder in, and I'm going to use my ailerons to keep the plane level. And you're going to see that the airplane will turn on the rudder with the wings level and kind of turn straight just by using the rudder. And you can do turns like this. You know, I'm not sure exactly when you would ever really use them, but it is something that they do have us teach private pilot students, is these straight turns. So you can see just full rudder to the left and keeping the wings level. The airplane's still pointing straight, but it's turning. I guess maybe it's just to show you that the rudder can do something in terms of, you know, flying the airplane more than just, you know, keeping the yaw. I'm not really quite sure why they have us teach that, I'll be honest with you, but it's cool. And it feels weird in the airplane because you can't really kind of feel like the load when you're doing it, using the rudder to kind of turn like that. So, alright, let's go ahead and roll out here. Let's see if I can somehow manage to get this to do like an accelerated stall. So an accelerated stall is, you can stall at higher speeds if you're in a really steep bank because of the load factor that you put on the aircraft. So let's see, what you want to do is you want to get into a steep turn here, and then in this steep turn, I'm going to just yank back on the controls and see if we can't get this thing to stall in the acceleration. Nah, I don't think this sim wants to do it. Okay, so we cannot do an accelerated stall. Can't do the accelerated stall in the sim. That's good to know. Did not like that one bit. You also have cross-controlled stall, so if you're doing this and then you base turn, you can get it to eventually do like a cross-controlled stall as well. I don't feel like the sim's going to do that either. So we're not going to worry about any of the rest of the demonstrated stalls then, in that case, since, again, the physics just aren't there for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, it appears, or at least with the JPLogistics C152 to kind of do those things. So now what we're going to do is, every once in a while when my student's starting to get cocky and he's starting to feel good about himself, I just pull the power and say, hey buddy, you lost your engine, what are you going to do? Now, Long Island's kind of like a cheat code. It's so stupid easy. You've got this entire shoreline right here, that I can't go over yet because then I would be in islip's airspace. But you got this entire shoreline right here that you can use for landing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a point along the shoreline. I'm going to try and find like a bigger chunk of it. And, you know, sometimes you could also use parking lots if they're not full for summer beachgoers. And again, you want to also try and find a spot that doesn't have any big summer beachgoers. But we're going to try and find a spot here to land on the beach, assuming that we've just lost our engine. Really, it is kind of just... Long Island's kind of just a cheat code with that. Whether you're on the North Shore or the South Shore, you got beaches galore that you could just glide to and use for your emergency landing. So it's kind of easy. In other places, like maybe up by me here near Stewart, it might not be as easy. You have to try and find a highway or a road or something because there's a lot of wooded areas, so it makes it a lot more difficult. But this is kind of easy. So what we're going to do is we're pitching for best glide. I have no idea what best glide is in the 152. I think it's like right around like 69, 70 knots. So I'm just going to try and hold about 70 here. Call that my best glide. We'll do it clean, and then we're just going to pick a spot on the beach. I'm going to try and pick this spot right here. This big spot right here is where I'm going to try and land, chat. And what I want to do, right now I'm in like a downwind almost, because you want to try, even when you're in an emergency situation, if at all possible, to land into the wind. And we talked about earlier, the wind is 250 right now. So we want to land more towards the west. So we're actually going to be in a downwind here. We're going to make a left, kind of a base turn, and then a final turn to try and land on the beach over here. And we'll call that our emergency landing spot. So let me do a better job here of maintaining my best glide. 60 in the 152. They're saying 60 for best glide in the 152. All right, good to know. So I'll pitch for 60 knots and use that as my best glide in the 152. Thank you guys for helping me out. I'm sure at one point in my life I knew it because I used to fly the school's 152s, but I can tell you it has been a long time since I have flown a 152. So, appreciate the assist on that. Dub Aviator, thanks for coming in today, by the way. Nick Resla, Melvin Leroy, Jay Smitty, happy to see all you guys in here. Eric Flight, you as well. So again, because I wanted to pick that specific spot, I'm flying a little bit past it now because I still have a lot of altitude to play with. So eventually I'm going to make my kind of base the final turn here and go in for that approach to that spot. And then the nice thing about it is, when you're in this situation, if you have a lot of altitude, obviously altitude is your friend. That's a good thing. Then you can start to configure the airplane for like a normal landing. You can use flaps, you can use, you know, anything, really any kind of means that you need to kind of make it a better outcome for you. To actually have that positive landing outcome. So you can see there's my big patch right there, right in front of me. This is perfect. I'm going a little bit fast, so I'm going to try and slow down here. Again, this is where I would potentially start adding in flaps and start to approach as if I was going to do an actual landing. But because you would never in real life do an actual landing on this emergency landing, at this point I would tell my student go around. And because we're already down here, we'll maintain 1,000 feet and set up for the ground reference maneuvers that we're going to do next. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up here to 1,000 feet, kind of level the airplane, get it nice and trimmed out and stable at 1,000 feet, and then we'll talk about some of the ground reference maneuvers. So 1,000 feet, we're going to be below the Class Charlie for islip, so we're going to have plenty to work with under the shelf here, as long as we don't go above 1,500 feet. So let me just get the airplane nice and trimmed out. It's definitely not trimmed out at the moment, so let's go ahead and give it a hot minute to get itself sorted out here, and then we'll roll into the ground reference maneuvers. So there's 3 ground reference maneuvers that you can do. You have the rectangular patterns. So this is pretty nice. You have a little parking lot right here that we could use to do rectangular patterns. The only thing is that you want to enter on a downwind as if you were approaching to a runway just to do that rectangular pattern. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and kind of just fly over the top of it and try and maneuver myself here a little bit better to actually do the entry for the rectangular pattern with this parking lot here. So bear with me as I kind of get this maneuver set up for you guys so I can show you the proper entry and all that. Again, remember the wind's 250, so west is pretty much our upwind and east is going to be pretty much our downwind. So that's what we want to remember when we're doing these ground reference maneuvers, because the wind is important. The wind is going to have to force us to correct and adjust for different things, mostly bank. or pitch in order to maintain either a certain distance from something or and I'll explain more when it comes to the S-turns across the road here. But really what you're doing with this rectangular pattern is it's as it sounds. You're going to fly it like it's a pattern, like you're going into any airport and doing a regular traffic pattern, only you're doing it around some rectangular object. In this case, we have the parking lot that we flew right past. And the way you want to enter this maneuver is you want to enter on 45 to the downwind, just like you would a normal traffic pattern, and you're just going to fly a rectangle without climbing or descending, and you're going to fly a rectangle around it to kind of give you just a general idea of how to do a standard traffic pattern. Pretty simple maneuver. It's one that you get taught, but you don't necessarily do. Can't recall anyone ever having to do it on a check ride for the private pilot check ride, at least from my knowledge. I know I didn't do one for my private check ride, but you will do when the turns are on a point in the S-turns, which I'll show you guys here in just a little bit. So let me see if I can't get the airplane nice and stabilized. My parking lot's right here. So again, you enter just like you would a normal pattern, 45 degree to the downwind, just like this. And so now I'm just going to fly a rectangle around this parking lot. So you have your downwind. Let me try and maintain my 1,000 feet here. You have your downwind. There's my corner. So I'm going to turn my base. No more than 30 degrees bank. Roll out. And then boom, right there. You turn what would be your final, and also your upwind as well, technically. Again, because you're not really descending or doing anything like it's a normal pattern. You're just flying the rectangle and kind of getting a feel for how you would enter. And then subsequently on the other side, we're going to exit on the 45 in the downwind to exit the pattern here on this rectangle. So again, this would be your final turn into your upwind. So the next leg would be what, chat? The next leg is going to be the crosswind leg. So right here, you turn your crosswind leg. Jay Smitty, I started flying in 2010. September of 2010 is when I did my very first flight. It was in a Piper Warrior at SUNY Farmingdale. I do not remember if it was, I think it might have been 150 Lima Hotel was the first flight that I did. I know the airplane I did my solo on was 153, but I don't quite remember which one was the first one I flew. I think it was 150. I could probably look at my old logbook and tell you if I really, really wanted to, but it was September of 2010 was the first time I flew an airplane for real and logged it. Alright, so now you're in your downwind, and then you would exit the pattern on a 45 degrees. So we'll exit out on our 45 degree, and that's just going to be your simple rectangular pattern. So the next maneuver we're going to do, you will do maneuvers both prior to solo and during check ride. They are a common theme all throughout training. Absolutely, gauge is empty. That's exactly right. At approximately what age? I was 18 years old in 2010. Jay Smitty, 18 years old. So what are we going to do next? We're going to do S-turns across the road. So again, this is going to be tricky because we've got the wind is, oh, maybe not, because we have the bridge that we can go back. So we're going to go back over to that bridge there, which was Captree Bridge, and we'll use that because we have the wind being from the east to west. So we want to have this where you start the maneuver downwind, of course, as always. So let's go ahead and keep this going. We'll go back over to that bridge. We're going to have to do another turn back this way because we have to start downwind with the wind at our back, and the wind is 250. So we'll get back over. Here's the bridge that I'm talking about, and then the road kind of goes along with it. It's not perfectly a straight road, but we'll make the best of it. So I'll fly out, and we got a little bit of ways. We'll fly out, turn around, fly back before we start. Oh, my Delilah wants to get out of the room. Sorry, guys. Hang on one second. Here you go. Oh, the airplane definitely not trimmed out well because it was descending as I let go of it to go let Delilah out of the room, who was sleeping on my floor the whole time, by the way. 8s on pylon, Chandelle. I don't know if I can really do 8s on pylon or Chandelle because I haven't done commercial maneuvers in forever, and I just straight up don't know if I remember how to do them, Chad. I'll be honest with you. The private maneuvers are easy to remember and easy to do. I don't know if I could actually pull off a Chandelle or an 8-ton pylon or your Lazy 8 or anything like that in the sim right now, just from lack of remembering how to do them properly. So I'm not going to try and sit here and fudge it and say like I know what I'm doing, because I don't remember. The private maneuvers are pretty easy and straightforward. The commercial maneuvers, not so much. So we're going to fly out here a little bit, then we'll turn back. That'll be our downwind leg to go into the S-turns across the road. So what's going to happen now is we're going to fly, where's the webcam? Fly coming at you guys like we're downwind. As soon as we turn over the road, we're going to start a turn, and we're going to continue to go left all the way until we reach the road again. And the idea is when you do the 180-degree turn, you want to be reaching that road or that point that you used as your parallel point, perfectly wings level, rolling out, not too soon, not too late, crossing that point. And then you roll right into the next one, and you do the same thing, and you're constantly doing just S-turns across this point with the wings rolling level perfectly each time you get over the point. Now, when you start this maneuver in the downwind, what's going to happen is you need to start with your steepest bank, because you're going to have your biggest tailwind, and that means you're going to be at your fastest, and the faster you're going, the bigger your turning radius. So you start out with your steepest bank with the tailwind, and as you're going into it, you're slowly shallowing that bank, because once you cross the road again, coming this way, you're going to have your headwind. And that's when you need your shallowest bank, because you're going to have your shortest turning radius, because you're going slower. I'm going to try my best. I don't know if the sim is going to let me do it 100% with the winds here, but we're going to try my best. I've got my road right out in front of me there. I'm going to try and do my best I can here now to see if I can show you guys these S-turns across the road. And the whole time you want to try and maintain your altitude while you're doing this as well. So I got to try and maintain my 1,000 feet. So here you guys can kind of see my road out to my left. It's not perfectly straight, but we'll make the best of it. And right here I am over the road right now. So in theory, this is going to be my steepest bank. And again, you really don't want to go more than about 30 degrees. Definitely no more than 45 degrees bank when you're doing this. And as I'm coming around this turn, the idea is because the wind is going to start to become less of a tailwind and more of a headwind, that I want to start to level this turn slowly but surely until I get to my shallowest bank right before crossing the road. And then when I cross the road, it's right when I want to be rolling wings level, is when I want to be crossing the road here. And then right about here, so that really wasn't a clean one, but then you would just keep going. So I'm going to roll to the right, and again, you're shallowest at your start here because you got a headwind, and then as you get closer to the road, that's when you're going to start to really steepen up your bank to get to that point across the road, and then you want to roll wings level as you're crossing the road. Hard to do in this sim because I don't have track IR. I can't really turn my head. I have to constantly shift back and forth, like I said, with this little joystick button right here to kind of get a view of what I'm doing. So it's not exactly the easiest thing to do in Microsoft Flight Simulator. But there, we see we're crossing the road again, right there. And I was a little bit high. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just keep going with it. I'm going to see if I can try and do another one semi-decently. Again, I know the road's not perfectly straight here, but we'll try to do the best we can with it. I'm checking that altitude, then I'm coming back outside, slowly rolling my wings so that it's less bank as I'm getting closer to the road, checking my altitude. Got roads coming up, reducing my bank so that I roll out wings level as I'm coming across my road. Right about here, so there's my original road, and now I roll in to this side. Again, checking my altitude, coming across. These are not the best S-turns across the road at all that I'm doing right now, by the way. These are pretty terrible, but you guys hopefully are getting the idea of what I'm trying to convey with them, since they are not currently my best work. And the wind I don't think is as strong as maybe I'm trying to correct for. I think it's only a 7-knot wind, so it might not be pushing me as much in either direction as I think it would be. But as I'm coming around, you see the road, and rolling wings level just as you're crossing the road, and that's it. There's your S-turns across the road. Again, not my cleanest ones by any means, but just kind of hopefully you guys get a general idea of what they are from that. And then, of course, the next ground reference maneuver, which is the last private pilot ground reference maneuver that you have to do, is going to be turns around a point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and fly out here and see if I can find a well-defined point that I can do these turns around a point. And then the idea with the turns around a point is you're just trying to maintain a constant radius around that point. You don't want to get too close, you don't want to get too far away. Whatever you start at, you want to try and maintain that constant radius, and you have to adjust your bank. Again, when you're in the downwind, that's going to be when you have your steepest bank. When you're upwind, that's when you're going to have your shallowest bank, because downwind, you're faster, you're going to have a bigger radius of turn. Upwind, you're slower, you're going to have a smaller radius of turn. And that's kind of what you're trying to feel out when you're doing these ground reference maneuvers. You want to be able to kind of hone your skills by being able to look outside the airplane, see how that wind is affecting you, adjust accordingly to be able to maintain what you're doing, and also every now and then, of course, you have to look back inside and make sure, am I still on my altitude? Am I still maintaining what I need to be maintaining for these maneuvers? So let's go over here and see if we can't find a point. I feel like I'm talking a lot. I can feel it in my voice. That's okay. I don't really see much of use right now in terms of a point, so I'm gonna keep flying out this way, going towards, and this is good. As we're going east, we're going back towards Bayport anyway, which is where we're gonna go back to for the landing, so this kind of works out going this way anyway. But we'll see if we can't find something that's a real nice defined, like this house. You see this house that's sticking right here, chat? That's gonna be our nice defined point. That's pretty easy, straightforward. Just a random little house sticking out on the beach there in MSFS here that we're gonna use for our point, for our turns around a point. And again, same as all the other ground reference maneuvers. You want to start out in the downwind, so we know the wind is mostly coming from our west, so I'm going to pretty much start flying west. Once I get that point off of my wing, that's when I'm going to start my turn and try and maintain the constant radius around that turn the whole way around. And you want to do this a full 360-degree turn, exit on the downwind from where you entered, maintaining that same radius. Sometimes your instructor will have you do like 2 or 3 when you're practicing. For the check ride, you only have to do the 1 full turn, as long as you maintain the constant radius. If the DPE wants to see another one, maybe he just wants you to clean it up a little bit the second time around. Those things happen. But if you do it right the first time, you should only have to do the 1 full turn, enter on the downwind, then exit on the downwind, maintaining that constant radius. So like I said, we're going to get out over here. The big thing with this maneuver also, for the setup, is that you don't want to start out too close to the point, because then your turns are going to be way too steep, but you also don't want to be too far away from the point, because then your turns are going to always be too shallow. You want to try and find just the right balance, if you will, in terms of distance, and it's hard to judge what the actual right distance is for these maneuvers. When's the last time you flew a Cessna 172? What would you take for the last time I flew a 172? Oh god, it's probably been like 5-6 years the last time I flew a 172. What would it take for you to be able to rent one right now? It would take a lot of money and probably a couple of actual times up there with a flight instructor even. For that, I would actually be, before I feel comfortable enough to fly it solo again, Jay Smitty. Let's put it that way. It's been so long, really, since I've flown a GA aircraft in real life that there's no way I would just jump right into one solo. No place that rents is going to let you do that anyway. I'd have to do like a rental checkout with an instructor so that they know I'm not going to crash their airplane that they have to have insured and all things like that. But I'd probably want at least to do a couple flights in a GA aircraft before I would really kind of get in there and do it by myself again. So you know what, chat? I kind of am starting a little bit, I think, maybe just a touch far away from this point, but we're going to make it work. So here it is. There's my downwind entry. I'm going to start my turn, and I got to try and maintain this radius from the point while also maintaining my 1,000 feet of altitude. So I'm going to see if I can't maintain this radius right here. And you can see that wind kind of pushing me a little bit. I want to try and get that bank to increase, keep it a little bit closer. Especially now, the wind is going to be pushing me, a crosswind, trying to push me away from the point right here. So I'm just trying to maintain this radius, and I'm trying to maintain my altitude. So you're outside, you're looking at your point, you're trying to maintain your radius, you're inside, checking your altitude. You're outside, looking at your point, trying to maintain your radius. I'm going to get upwind here soon, so I'm going to start to shallow this out, because I don't want to get too close to my point, checking my altitude. I think I need just a notch of nose down trim while I'm doing this. So here we go. I think I'm doing actually a fairly decent job of maintaining the radius on this point right now, but now this is where the wind is going to start to kind of become more of a headwind, so we're going to be a little bit shallow. Maybe the sim not showing that a whole lot because it looks like I'm kind of getting further away from it, so I'm going to keep this bank in. Got to watch my altitude. I already busted my plus or minus 100 feet off 1,000 feet there, so that's not good. So let me get back down to 1,000 feet there. But again, you have to do this constant. Look at that sun glare too, is going to make it hard to do this as well. And that's something that does happen in the real airplane every now and then, that glare. to make it difficult. That's why we wear sunglasses. But yeah, it's just constant in and out, being able to maintain the airplane, maneuver the airplane while also being able to divide your attention, maintain that constant radius around the point. Wind's starting to pick up, my ground speed's starting to pick up, so I'm increasing that bank. And then after one full turn, I would exit on the downwind, but I'm going to do a second turn here just again so you guys can get a better view of kind of what I'm looking at. So I'm going to roll out here on my downwind, and we're going to do another one. So right here, boom. We'll go ahead and real quickly block the spam. And we'll roll into the next turn here. Okay, so me trying to block the spam kind of distracted me a little bit. So tell you what, let's go find a new point out over here and we'll do it again. We got this building right here. This is another just big building that's kind of sticking out. So I'm going to use this building now as my point, and we'll do another set of turns around a point there using that building this time. I'll try and do a better job of maintaining my altitude on this pass as well. Even someone who is flying with another rental place would have to book some time with the C5 from where you want to rent. Yep, it's exactly what it is. It's for insurance purposes. That's exactly why you have to do those checkout flights anytime you're looking to go rent an airplane at a rental place, if they're a reputable place. If they just let you take the airplane, you might want to reconsider, because if they don't want a rental checkout, that place is probably all sketchy. So definitely things to think about when you're going to rent an airplane, a GA aircraft. All right, so this building, this horseshoe-looking building, is what we're going to use as our point this time by. And we'll try and maintain this radius around it as we start our turn here. We'll do another set of turn around a point. Again, shallowing it out. I don't want to get too close to the point there. Watching my altitude. For some reason, I have a tendency to climb when I'm doing this maneuver, I've noticed. Probably pulling a little bit back on the yoke more than I need to. You usually need to add a little bit of back pressure when you're doing these turns. Anytime you're turning an airplane, I think I'm just adding too much and letting the airplane climb quite a bit while I'm trying to do these maneuvers. I'm talking about it to you guys. But again, outside, I'm looking at my point. Inside, my altitude is good. Back outside, looking at my point, trying to maintain that constant radius. You're just making constant small adjustments. You don't want to be making big adjustments when you're doing this. And if you're doing the maneuver smoothly and correctly, it should only be small adjustments to your pitch and to your bank to maintain your altitude and maintain that constant radius around the point. And all right, now I'm getting pushed again. As I start to get more of that tailwind, I'm going to need to increase my bank. And I'm going to this time roll out and be done with the maneuver on the downwind just like I was last time. Right about there. And I think that was roughly about the distance that I started with, so I think I did a pretty good job of maintaining the radius on that turn there, on the turn around a point. So I'll call that good. Oh, there is a New York approach on right now, but we're not going to talk to New York approach anymore at this point, chat, because quite frankly, we're already getting ready to go back to Bayport. No need for the flight following anymore. I just noticed that there is someone on now, but that's fine. We're VFR, we're putzing around. We don't need to bother them. I'm sure they're busy with plenty of other IFR and GA related stuff. So what would you guys like to see? I've kind of gone through what I planned on doing in terms of the private pilot maneuvers. Is there anything that maybe if someone came late that they want to maybe see? We've figured out that the power off stalls don't work at all, whether it's the sim or just this JPLogistics version 0.9.9 of the Cessna 172. The power on stall worked pretty well once we got it figured out. We did slow flight. Slow flight's all right as well. Not super great, but all right. You can ride the horn at least. We did the emergency descent. We did steep turns. We did turns around a point. We did the S turns. We did the rectangular pattern. Second, the spin recovery. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this thing to spin. I can try. Let's climb up and we'll see if I can get the sim to spin it. I'm definitely not going to do a full cross country. That's not going to be part of the stream tonight, Nick. Maybe another time where we do kind of like a full planning, pilotage, dead reckoning stream, but we're just focused on the maneuvers tonight. We're not going to worry about any of the cross country stuff in the Cessna tonight. Let's climb up here to a safe altitude. We'll try and go to at least 3,500, 4,000 feet, and we'll see if we can't get this thing to actually do some spins. I don't know if I really don't know if the sim will do it or not, chat, in terms of either the aircraft or the sim, the physics behind any of it. But I mean, it's worth a shot. So we'll climb up here and see if we can't get this thing to spin. I'm not going to do any instrument stuff either, Nick. I'm going to focus on the private stuff. We'll see if we can't get the airplane to spin. And then after the spin, we're going to go back to Bayport. I've heard the sim does well with spins, not done any myself, though. Well, we're going to find out and see if I can actually get this thing to spin. It's going to take me just a moment here, I think, to get the airplane all squared away up at a safe altitude to do this spin. So everyone bear with me here. Try and reference where I'm at on Long Island here. I think that is Islip there off my left, so... Is that Islip? Off my left there? I think so. Oh, that's Gabreski. Oh boy. Oh boy. If that's Gabreski, then I'm very close to airspace, I think, so I need to get the heck out of here. I didn't realize I had gotten that far east, chat. Wow. But I'm all the way over near West Hampton, Gabreski. I might have busted the Gabreski Delta there, and with HCC on, that would be a bust. That's wild. I didn't realize I had gotten that far east. But we're gonna casually fly out and pretend like nobody noticed. I did not think I got that far east while I was doing those maneuvers. That's wild. Especially in the 152. Now, granted, I wasn't that far as west as I thought because I did take off out of Bayport, and I'm used to doing all these after taking off out of Farmingdale when I did my training in real life. But that's pretty bad that I got myself all the way out towards Gabreski, and honestly was pretty much just all over the Delta. Like, complete bust straight in, manhandling the class Delta there just now while we were trying to climb for this spin. So let me get out of the Delta before we continue forward here. That's it, chat. I'm gonna get violated by the FAA. There it is. Good fixins, thanks for coming in today. Eric Flight says, with your permission, I would like to share my link. Yeah, you can share a link like that, Eric, in the chat, no problem. Something useful like that, more than welcome to share in the stream. Alright, we're gonna get to the 3,500 feet, but then we're also gonna fly east, or west, chat. We're gonna fly west, get out of Gabreski's airspace. I can't believe I got that close to the point where I was busting the Gabreski class Delta. That's pretty bad, honestly, on my part. I'm not proud of that. So Eric Flight says that YouTube link, it talks about VFR flight planning. Apparently it's a fairly lengthy YouTube video, but if anybody's interested in learning how to do VFR cross-country flight planning, that's probably going to be a good tool for you guys if you want to take a look at that YouTube video on your own time. What we're going to do now is, like I said, I'm going to just keep flying east here. I apologize, chat, it's going to take a minute. Let me fly eastbound, kind of get out of the way of Gabreski here before we go and try and do a spin, and then we'll see if we can get the airplane to spin, the sim to spin. If not, we can't do the spin. Then I'm going to bust out the Bayport video once again, and we're gonna watch and see how to land on runway 18 at Bayport. What do you guys want to see, chat? For the Bayport video, I had shown a bit of the Bayport video at the beginning of the stream, but there was only like 3 or 4 people watching in terms of how to do the takeoff of runway 18, because we're going to do runway 18 at Bayport. Do you guys in the chat want to see the full Bayport Aerodrome video? Because it's actually a pretty great video. But you guys let me know. We can start right at the point where it teaches us how to do the runway 18 approach into Bayport, or we can watch the video all the way through on the stream. I'm going to leave that up to the chat. You guys let me know what you want to see. If you want to see the full Bayport video or just the information for runway 18 at Bayport, which we're going to be doing this evening. So you tell me what you guys think in the chat while I set up for this spin here. We're going to go up to 4,500 feet for it, give ourselves plenty of altitude. So they're pretty much going to be soft field landings, gauges empty, because Bayport is a grass strip. So we're pretty much going to plan on trying to do mostly just pretty much all soft field landings with Bayport, since there's a special procedure with it too. Again, that's why I keep referencing that video, because that video is going to teach us the kind of the special procedure at Bayport. So let me know in the chat what you guys think. If you want to see that full Bayport video, or if you just want to see the information for the landing for runway 18 at Bayport. I'm leaving that up to you guys. John says he wants to see the whole video. Alright, let's see what everyone else thinks. Anybody that's actually watching. It looks like there's 19 of you or so in here, so don't be afraid to make your voice heard if you're watching. What do you guys want to see? You want to watch that whole video through and learn all about Bayport, runway 1836 takeoffs and landings, or do we just want to see runway 18 landing? I'm curious to see if you can get it to spin. I don't think I've seen anyone's success in Microsoft Flight Sim yet, but I don't think I've seen anyone try it with the 152. So again, this is the JPLogistics version 0.9.9 that I think he just released yesterday, or maybe even this morning. This is the newest version that's out for this 152 mod. It used to be the community modded 152X, now it's the JPLogistics 152. It's a newish version. Let's see if we can get it to spin here, chat. So really what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit slower here. No flaps, no anything. Once I'm getting pretty close to about the point where I'm going to stall, I'm going to put in about half power, and I'm going to pitch up. And in theory, the airplane should brake either to the right or to the left and start the spin if I do this correctly. And then the idea is you correct the spin by putting an opposite rudder to counteract the rotation. So let's see if we can get it to do it. So I'll get pretty close to the stall, and then I'm going to go half power now. So just half power. And we're going to see if I can get this to brake. Not really. You can see it just kind of dips the wing, but it's not really letting you go into a full spin. It just kind of dipping the wing. So no, it doesn't look like you can spin this thing. Because in theory, and this is the way I was taught to do the spins in the 152 way back in the day, you should be able to get it pretty much right to the stall almost, and then you just put in that half power as you're pitching up, and the wing should brake. Usually it'll brake, I think it should usually brake to the right. And it's just not going to do it. So, yeah, unfortunately, I can't really get it to get into, I can't really induce the spin very well. You know, I'm kind of just doing like a little spiral there. There's the rudder to kind of counteract it and all that, but there's definitely the physics are not there for the spin, so just not up to snuff yet, this sim, when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I was trying the heck. By the way, an unexpected error, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming in today. I was trying my hardest, like doing everything I could to really make that sim spin, and it just wouldn't do it. So, unfortunately, not meant to be. So what I need to do now is, if we're going to watch the Bayport video all the way through, let me stop the music. This is what you guys want to see. I'm not going to be able to read the chat while we're watching the video because I have it on my second monitor along with my chat and second monitor. So I'm not going to be able to read the chat because I have to fly on this screen right here. The guys, you see my mouse and everything. I'm flying on this screen. I got to maintain control of the aircraft because there's no autopilot on this thing. But so we'll watch on the second screen. We'll watch this Bayport Aerodrome video. We're going to watch it all the way through because people seem to want to watch it all the way through. And yeah, I won't be able to read the chat. So for the next 8 minutes, I'm not going to be reading the chat, but enjoy how to approach and depart from Bayport Aerodrome.
The purpose of this video is to acquaint pilots who are unfamiliar with the Bayport Aerodrome to the procedures in approaching and departing the aerodrome safely and without conflict with the Islip Class C airspace. The common traffic advisory frequency at the Bayport Aerodrome is 122.7.
Tell you what, let me pull up my stream on my phone and then I can see the chat that way.
118.00 or 120.05, depending on which section you're approaching from. Here in this part of the video, we are departing on runway 36.
So again, the frequency we're using on VATSIM 1 to 2.8, by the way, chat. We don't use the real frequencies on VATSIM for Unicom, unfortunately.
After we take off on 36, there is a commercial development just to the north of the airport.
Okay, I can do that, John.
Fly over that. And then there's a housing development with 15 brand new luxury homes. If you can make a turn before you go over the houses, that's fine. If you can't, practice safe flying. Make your left turn to your crosswind leg, and then another left turn flying over the lakes, which you see here in the video. These are called the Sans Souci Lakes. Do not go above 700 feet. This is basically your downwind leg. We do not have closed traffic at the Bayport Aerodrome. Anytime you take off from the runway, you must fly your airplane all the way out to the Great South Bay, then turn around and come in, execute the
699 feet would be legal, though, baby.
Technically. We have a lot of traffic at the airport that does not use radios. We have many antique airplanes there that do not have radios, and we have students that take flying lessons. Please just remember that. But you can come to the Bayport Aerodrome without a radio. All you have to do is approach below 700 feet, and we have a keyhole cut out for us, and it's not a problem. Islip MacArthur Airport, which is located just north of our airport, is our controlling facility. You can call Islip, or if you call flight service, you can tell them that you want to know about NOTAMs for the Bayport Aerodrome. They'll be on the Islip NOTAMs. As you get down towards the Great South Bay, you can stay to the right. The river turns a little bit to the left right there, and you can stay to the right and stay away from the marina. This gives incoming aircraft some extra room. But when you approach to land on runway 18, you'll come straight up the river between the jets. And you can call 122.7 and advise Bayport traffic over the shoreline for 18 Bayport. Or Bayport traffic, Cessna over the shoreline for 36 Bayport. That's all you have to say. If you look here, you'll see this big white house. We'll fly directly over that house. It's below 700 feet, parallel the streets below, and fly all the way up to the school. Notice the school on the right-hand side, lower right-hand side of the screen. That's the Bayport High School. And we are going to fly up along the west end of that high school property. And when you look down, you'll see the Long Island Railroad tracks. You will make a right turn, and now you're on base, making a right turn onto base. So we have a left base to runway 36. A right turn onto a left base for runway 36. It's a very short base to final, and we make a left turn.
So again, this is the information in runway 36 that we're not going to use, chat. We're going to be using runway 18 with the wind tonight, runway 18.
They're generally marked with an X, whichever is closed, and the open one is the one with the white threshold markings, and generally where the other airplanes
We're also going to be using the west strip, west grass strip.
The elevation of our airport is 42 feet. Okay, here we are. We're taking off on runway 18. Finally got off the ground.
This is what we did to start the stream, was take off from runway 18 at Bayport.
650 feet and go straight ahead. But anyway, if you look down, there's the nice houses down there.
Was that guy my instructor? No, that was not my instructor.
And cross the shoreline and you're over the water of the Great South Bay, you can go up to any altitude except above 1,500 feet. You must stay below 1,500 feet unless you call the New York approach and get clearance into the Class C airspace. Now, you can keep on going straight out to Fire Island, which doesn't really show up too well in the video, but it's only about 3 miles offshore, straight ahead.
Sick
And
voice
once
crack.
you get to Fire Island and cross the Barrier Island, then you go up to any altitude you want. You're in uncontrolled airspace out there. Knock yourself out. Down there on the right, in the center of the screen,
This is
you'll
what we
see
need
the
to see
jets
right now.
coming
This is the
out
approach
by
to
the
1-8 at Bayport.
entrance to where the ferry boats go in and out. And we're going to fly directly up that river. That river there is called Browns River. And that's going to give us the approach for runway 18. When you're about here, you'll call Bayport Aerodrome at 122.7 and say Bayport.
122.8 on VATSIM.
And 3A, over the shore for 18 Bayport. Notice we're banking slightly to the right because the river does split. Up ahead, you'll see what they call the Sans Souci Lakes, and we're staying above those lakes. And just to the right of the screen, you'll notice now that the Bayport Aerodrome is in sight. You'll notice that when we start to parallel the runway, we should call Bayport traffic, Navy, downwind, runway 18, because now you've entered downwind. And we're going to get ready to turn base. What we want to do is keep one thing in mind. Right down there where you see all that traffic, that's Sunrise Highway, Route 27 on your road map. We don't want to cross Sunrise Highway because that puts us in Iceland MacArthur's airspace from the surface to 1,500 or to 700 feet. So we want to stay south of the Sunrise Highway. We are turning base, and we're going to be turning final. You'll notice that your base to final is very short. It's almost a U-turn, especially if you have a tailwind from the west when you turn.
Yeah, we'll be with 22.7 on Pops Concrete Monster.
So here we are lined up with the runways
VATSIM
for
22.8 standard unit count.
18. Be sure you land on the open runway. We expect you to do a good job.
When you're making your approach to runway 18, make sure you don't cross Sunrise Highway because you're going to go into airspace that we don't belong in. See?
I've done Bayport many times in real life,
Runway
Jason.
18.
Yes, it's been a long time.
Make
It's
sure
been
when you lift
6,
out,
7 years,
you don't
but
go above
yeah,
what?
I've definitely done
700
Bayport.
feet.
I've probably done
Straight out to the bay.
at least a dozen
Left,
landings at
right,
Bayport so far in real life.
If you're out past the
Pretty much all on Cessnas,
shoreline there,
152s or
you go up to
172s.
1,000 feet and not worry about it. See? When you approach, I forgot to tell you.
No, I never met either of these two guys, Dub Aviator.
18 from the
Really is God. Have I been to the Cradle of Aviation
Make
Museum?
sure you come in over those 2 jetties.
Is that the one at Farmingdale? If it's the one at Farmingdale, then yes. I don't remember though.
All the
I
way
never
down,
remember the names of the
and
museums.
the right side,
I'll be honest.
see? You make it back.
You know, last year, I couldn't even spell aviator. Now I are one.
Another thing, welcome guests. If you want to know any more, you call this number.
All right, all right.
Or
Back to the flying. There's the video. You're welcome, chat. And look where we're at. I'm descending to get below 700 feet and getting ready to set up for the approach into Bayport. Perfectly timed. So again, all you need to know is that we're doing the approach into runway 18 at Bayport. So I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to see if I can fly and do Google Maps at the same time. This should be entertaining to watch, chat. But right here, we're going to try and get over to this marina right here. We're going to follow the Browns River until it splits, come over here towards the Sans Souci Lakes. We're going to make our turn before we hit Sunrise Highway, and we'll come right on into Bayport, land runway 18. So again, down here, follow the river, split to the right, come over the lakes, we'll call our downwind here, base to final, boom, landing. And that's how we're going to do it right there. There's your good Google Maps view for you guys while I was, let's see, where am I at here? Where is the river? It's not this one. It's not. Well, I got to go a little bit further. I got to get up here more. The marina is a little bit hard to see in the sim, but like right about here, right? You see this little opening right where my mouse is, chat? That's going to be the marina, technically. It doesn't show up too great in the sim, but that's where the river kind of comes out. So that's where we're going to have our entry. And we're on our 122.8. It would be 0.7 in real life. And we'll call the shoreline once we get there. And we'll, of course, call the down once we get there as well. Now, what's interesting about Bayport Aerodrome, chat, is this is a full stop only landing for Bayport. You can go around if you need to, But again, if you do the go around, you need to make sure you stay below the 700 feet, and you need to fly all the way out to the shoreline. You can't just do a regular pattern at this airport because of the way that it's constrained. If you're flying a departure or a go around, you have to go out to the shoreline, to the South Bay, Great South Bay, before then entering in. So it's not a standard pattern, and you can't do touch and goes. It's just too short of a grass strip to really be safe. So any landing is going to be a full stop landing, taxi back, you take off. And that's what we're going to do. We're just going to do a couple of full stop landings, taxi back, take off. I'm going to make sure to actually remember to turn on my G's meter here so that there's landing rates involved. So there you go, G's is up. So now we should get some landing rates on these landings here. I'm going to try and make them soft since it is grass and try and do some soft field landings. Big thing, you see right here, my altimeter is checked and I'm below 700 feet. So now I'm legal to enter this cutout without entering the Islip Class Charlie airspace. Yeah, you can do go around as long as you, again, fly out to the Great South Bay below 700 feet, but you just cannot do touch and goes. If you're landing, it has to be a full stop. So here we go. Here's the, again, this is what the marina would be. It doesn't show perfectly well in the sim, but here it is. We'll turn and we'll follow the river and see what I can do in terms of landing. Bayport traffic, Cessna 124, Mike Charlie, shoreline 18, Bayport. So I'm going to start configuring the airplane now. We need to slow down. You want to be fully configured before you start the base to final U-turn. So that means full flaps, everything ready to go before you start that base to final turn. So I've got 1 notch of flaps in there. And I realized I lowered the volume of the plane when I was showing the video, so let me lower the music volume now so you guys can hear the plane a little bit. So again, here's the river. It splits to the right. You can see the Sans Souci Lakes start to come into play. And then as we get closer, we'll be able to see Bayport Aerodrome in the right downwind. See, the sun is starting to set. I'm going to have to adjust the time a little bit, chat, because we really need it to be bright like this. It needs to be daytime in order for us to do this. So I know that's a little awkward changing the sim right there, but we can't really, it's from dawn till dusk is when Bayport is open, since the airport does not have any lights. So we need it to be daytime, so I apologize again for that quick daytime change there, but we need it to be daytime for this to be realistic going into Bayport. So there is the field right there. You guys can see it right here. So we're pretty much joining the downwind over the lakes right here. Bayport traffic, Cessna 124 Mike Charlie, downwind 18, Bayport. And you want to stay over these lakes because you don't want to fly over the brand new luxurious homes off the left there. So we got to make sure that we stay over the lakes. And then you guys can see we're in the downwind. Beautiful view of the Bayport Aerodrome right there. And now we need to make sure that we do not cross Sunrise Highway, which is right off our nose. You guys can see it. And I need to get the last notch of flaps in, fully configured on speed, about 60 knots roughly is what I want to hold. And we're going to take it pretty close to, but not all the way to Sunrise Highway. And we're just going to make our looping right turn for the final. Again, base to final, basically a giant U-turn. So there's Sunrise. Let's start our base to final turn. Coming around. Again, we're using the west strip. So you'll see it'll be the one to the right is the one that's open. There's the threshold mark right there. You can see I'm slightly high, but I'd rather be high than low when I'm coming out of this turn. I'm just going to gently have that nose come down. Make sure I don't hit the trees. Plenty of strip. It is 3,000 something feet, so there is actually plenty of... I have to check the feet. I might be wrong on that actually, but let's see if I can't get a nice soft field landing in. Maybe just bring the power up a touch. Yeah, that's going to work. And then I'm keeping that nose off. I've got back pressure in. I'm holding that nose off. I'm holding that nose off for as long as I can down the runway here. And then I release that pressure, let the nose kind of touch down. And you really don't want to brake because you don't want to dig in too much to the grass. This is a nice hard turf surface, so you can really, at Bayport in real life, get away with a pretty significantly bad landing and still be okay because it's a well-maintained little turf strip that you have over here. But there you go. So you exit, because it has to be a full stop. You got a little taxiway kind of going down. We'll taxi back out, we'll take off, and we'll do the same thing again. And we'll do a few of these before we call it good for the evening. And it's only 8 o'clock, so I might actually, maybe we'll do a little bit more just for the heck of it. Maybe we'll break off into something different. Just because I'm not ready to be done streaming yet, to be honest. But we'll go ahead. I got my flaps back up all the way. Let's get my trim set for takeoff here. Let me move the yoke real quick, make sure I'm at takeoff. Trim, takeoff, trim. That's going to be good right there. Takeoff, trim. We'll go ahead and take off runway 18 now at Bayport and do it again. Bayport traffic, Cessna 124 Mike Charlie, departing runway 18 to the south. Bayport traffic. So line it up, and again, soft field takeoff now. I'm going to hold back pressure. You're going to see the airplane's going to kind of want to do a wheelie as we pick up a little bit of speed here. And then the idea is I want to get off of the ground just a little bit and then hold it in the ground effect until it pick up speed. So there you go, there's the wheelie. I'm off the ground. I touch down again. You really don't want to do that, so I kind of messed that one up. But you hold that ground effect, you hold that ground effect, and when you pick up your speed, then you climb away. So that was definitely not a good soft field takeoff because you don't want to come back and actually have a landing like you saw the landing rate meter went off. That's not a good thing. So that was a piss poor soft field takeoff. But that's the general idea of what you're trying to do with that. And then again, straight out to the shore, below 700 feet. Once we get out over the water, we'll start the right turn, we'll loop back in, and we'll do it again. Yeah, you just eyeball it, Titanium Druid. No Poppy or Vazi, you just have to do it by sight. You get sight picture, and you just do it, you know, you eyeball it. You do it by the seat of your pants almost. Level off to accelerate to VX. I also didn't have any flaps in. I don't remember if you're supposed to have flaps in or not for the soft field takeoff, at least in the 152. I'll be honest. But that was a sloppy one because you don't want to go back and hit the ground again. So that was pretty rough. So you come all the way out to the shoreline, and this is your pattern at Bayport. You've basically now seen like what a pattern would be at Bayport. It's certainly not a traditional pattern by any stretch of the imagination. I fly 145, my IOE is on Tuesday. First flight in the 175 is going to be on Tuesday. And below 700 feet. Come out for the marina. There it is right there. Where to? I'm going to be going to Albuquerque the first night. All my overnights are in Albuquerque, the whole trip. ABQ. Bayport traffic, Cessna 124 Mike Charlie, shoreline, runway 18, Bayport traffic. Best 175 feature, I guess the horn, I think is what you're trying to get out there, Mr. Ian, Pilot 23. I think you're trying to mention the fact that the 175 does have a ground ramp horn to tell the rampers, like, hey, wake up. Auto throttles are nice too. Footrest. Oh, I guess the footrest too. It's probably, needless to say, it is a better airplane than the 145. It's going to be. I mean, I'll get confirmation, of course, obviously, when I actually fly the real thing, but just from doing the sims and the training, it just seems like it's going to be a much better airplane than the 145. Coming up over the Sans Souci Lakes again. Start to see the airport off our right once we kind of level off in the turn. Again, don't fly over the luxury homes. People will get pissed. There's the airport. Bayport traffic. Cessna 124 Mike Charlie. Downwind 18, Bayport traffic. Haven't flown the real one yet, but type certed. Yep, you do all of your training for the airlines in the sim, and you get your type rating, everything. Check ride is all done in the sim. It's all approved by the FAA. And then my first flight is with the check airman captain to do my IOE. in the actual airplane. And in theory, the actual airplane should fly like the sim. Will there be differences? That's what the check airman's there for, to kind of help me out with, to make sure I don't screw it up. Do our build-based final turn here. I have a feeling I'm coming in a little bit high again, but we'll see when we roll out here. Oh, not my best turn. That was definitely not my best Bayport turn. But we're going to correct and make it work. I've done a lot of Bayport turns in my life, and that was definitely not one of the best. But again, touchdown, I've got back pressure, keep that nose off as long as you can, reduce the back pressure on the soft field landing. That landing was worse too, minus 118, but... there you go. Another Bayport Aerodrome landing. So now, let's see. Is New York approach still on? Let's see. Yeah, he is. I'm curious to see how busy he is, though, chat, because if I'm going to go and try and do, like, real patterns now at an actual airport, I don't want to do it with a controller that's too busy. So let me take a look at VATSIM real quick. Let's see. Are you super busy, John, at JFK? Let's see. No, I don't think he's super busy at JFK. We could probably get over to Republic and do some touch and goes over at Republic there with Mr. Wydrix. He might be accommodating. Or actually, we should probably just go to Islip since it's closer. So we'll probably do that. We'll do some regular patterns over at Islip maybe. So we'll take off out of Bayport. We do have to do the normal takeoff, and then we'll talk to approach, see if we can't get inbound to LaGuardia, not LaGuardia, Islip, to do some touch and goes over at a real airport, so you guys can see an actual traffic pattern. And then that's how we'll close out the stream here this evening. So I guess before we leave Bayport, I'll show it off to the stream one more time. Again, my good friend Sean, he's a member of the Virtue USA Flying Club. He did this scenery for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 that you guys see for Bayport, and he did a heck of a job with it. So we'll go and explore it a little bit to show you guys some of the details. Of course, you got the windsock thing going on over here. Very nicely done. There's the hangar that has like the little checkerboard door over here. That's pretty okay. Little parking area over here. Of course, you got the runways. He's got it so that you have the display here off the 3.6, and you can see which one is open, the west one and the one that's closed to east. They do alternate these every year so that the grass stays fresh, so that they don't beat it up too much. It's very smart of them to do that. There usually is a bunch of cones lining, maybe not as many as you see that he put in, but there's usually cones. You have this little hangar right here. This is really like a real beat up, decrepit hangar over here. But then you have all these hangars where a bunch of people have like Stearmans and Wacos and other really cool, fancy, old school tail dragon airplanes. A lot of that you found over here as well at this airport. Stearmans, just a bunch of different neat stuff that you find over here, and of course the same entrance that we've seen. So very nicely done. Little scenery there by our buddy Sean. His snow skier on Twitch. He does not stream, but he is occasionally in the chat. Good friend of mine. Another real-world pilot as well that made that for us. He's also been to Bayport in real life himself a few times, so very nicely done with the scenery for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. Again, let me see if I can get the link for you guys for this scenery. I'll do that. Give me 1 second, chat. We're going to go ahead and do Bayport Aerodrome. Nexus mod, Bayport Aerodrome. Here we go. Here is the mod that my buddy Sean made for the Bayport Aerodrome, so I'll give that to you, chat, in case you want to download this for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 on your own. Again, the airport is 23 November, which is the Bayport Aerodrome. I'm going to change my route real quick here on the stream, because we're now going to go to Islip, and see if we can't get some touch and goes over at Islip there. Crash landed, third crash day. So there's the link, in case you guys wanted the Bayport Aerodrome scenery for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. let's go ahead and continue on. See if we can't get some touch and goes over at Islip. See how busy our buddy John is. Bayport traffic, Cessna 124, Mike Charlie, departing runway 18 to the south, Bayport traffic. See if I can do a better soft field takeoff this time. And get that speed, you'll see the nose start to come up. Get the airplane airborne, but you just want to maintain. That's a lot better. Maintain that ground effect until you get enough speed, and then you climb away. Perfect. That was a much, much better soft field takeoff. Of course, you want to make sure you clear those obstacles at the end as well. It's a big thing to worry about. And I really wasn't using the full length of the runway there, but you really don't need to. Bayport's a pretty decent length grass strip out there on Long Island, so. We'll climb out into the bay here, and we'll talk to New York Approach. See if we can get us some touch goes at Islip.
Blue 2993, contact New York Center 125.32. Have a good day.
35.32, JetBlue 2993, see ya.
Information, Papa current at Kennedy, altimeter 3025, wind 130 at tree.
Wind is pretty much died out.
Few clouds 9,000, ceiling 1,000, 4,000. Broken 250.
Alright, we're over there. We'll climb to 1,000 feet, and we'll talk to your approach here in just a second.
JetBlue 494, 10 miles from Zettel. Maintain 3,000 until established. Cleared ILS runway 4 right approach.
Cleared ILS 4 right approach will maintain 3,000 until established. JetBlue 494.
New York Approach, Cessna 124, Mike Charlie.
124 Mike Charlie, New York Approach.
New York Approach, Cessna 124, Mike Charlie, about 4 south of Islip 1,100. We'd like to head inbound to Islip for touch and goes.
One two four Mike Charlie, squawk VFR, and make a. Let's see here. Let's enter midfield for left downwind runway 24.
Alright, we'll enter the midfield for the left downwind runway 24, Cessna 124, Mike Charlie. Alright, so he's going to have us keep our VFR code, and we'll turn towards Islip and get ready to enter a left downwind for runway 24. Trap pattern altitude at Islip is going to be 1,100 feet. I'm going to try and do a better job of maintaining my altitude here, 1,100 feet, as we head inbound to Islip. So I know this area very well. I know Islip is out in front of me here. Can't see it. There's a little bit of glare, but you can see some of the airport right
Mike
here.
Charlie, change of plan. Make straight in approach, runway 33 left.
Alright, we'll go straight in for runway 33 left, Cessna 124, Mike Charlie. And he's changed it on us. We'll do 33 left now instead. So that's the big runway for the 33s, but we'll do 33 left. So I'm going to go ahead and maneuver now to go for that. 33 left is going to be this one right here. With the runway edge lights right there is going to be 33 left, so that's pretty easy to see. So we'll go straight in. G-Nice for you. Thanks for coming in today. Good to see you, sir.
124 Mike Charlie, MacArthur, Long Island MacArthur altimeter now 302
3023. Thanks for Mike Charlie. And we'll do some touch and goes.
JetBlue 494, wind to 1303, runway 4 right, clear land.
4 right, clear land, JetBlue 494.
How's the stream been looking tonight so far, chat? I don't see any drop frames. I haven't feel like I've been lagging or anything, so hopefully the stream has been looking good on your end. Again, thanks everybody for coming in today. I hope you guys are enjoying this Cessna 152 action. We did some private pilot maneuvers, we did some Bayport action, and now we're just going to do some traffic patterns here at Long Island MacArthur on 33 left. Until I've decided I've had my fill for the evening. And we got our good buddy John Wydricks of NYARTCC on VATSIM giving us some control here. hauling some butt here, we'll start slowing down and get ready for our first landing since we're straight in. And Cessna 4 Mike Charlie, about a 2-mile final for 33 left.
124 Mike Charlie, wind 3106, runway 33 left, clear touch and go.
Clear touch and go, 33 left. Left or right traffic for 4 Mike Charlie?
4 Mike Charlie, sorry, make left close traffic.
Left close traffic, 4 Mike Charlie, thank you. Stream looks beautiful, excellent, that's what I like to hear. So we can see 2 white, white over white, so we're a little high. I'm working on getting in the rest of the flaps here, getting configured for the landing. We're just going to do a normal landing for the first one. And then on the next time around, we'll attempt to do a short field landing. And then we'll attempt to do a forward slip to landing. We'll attempt to do even a short approach maybe to landing. And we'll just go through the the works here for the different landings that you can do, that you would need to do potentially for your private. You don't necessarily need to do a short approach for the private, but you do, or at least I had my students before doing a solo, I would kind of give them like a power off 180, hey, what happens if you lose your engine? Can you make it back to the runway scenario? So we'll do that as well. Still using OBS? Yes, Eric Flight, I'm still using OBS. I have gotten rid of Streamlabs completely. I, of course, have stream labels for OBS, but Streamlabs I'm not using anymore. It's just OBS. There we go. There's the white and red. And just going for a nice normal landing. And we'll do the touch and go. You guys will notice that I'm not adjusting the carb heat. In real Cessna, you'd be adjusting the carb heat on the approach landings. I don't have a button set up for that, so I'm just not going to take the time to try and use my mouse and click all that and do all that. So no carb heat. We'll just pretend that I'm doing it, because that's the correct way to do it in a Cessna. Sorry for the little loss of immersion there. There you go, nice touch and go. I got the flaps all the way up, normal takeoff. So this next time around, I'm going to request a stop and go. We're going to try and do a short field landing. So again, normal pattern on the upwind, you want to go to about 500, 700 feet before you make your crosswind turn. Of course, make sure you go all the way to the end of the runway as well, unless they give you an early crosswind turn. So here's our 700 feet. We're clear left. We'll start our crosswind. You're going to keep that climb going, of course. Traffic pattern altitude, again, we said 1,100 feet at islip. No more than 30 degrees bank in any of these turns when you're in the pattern. And we're going to try and keep our pattern nice and tight here, so that we don't get too wide and too crazy. Since we're the only one in the pattern, we can keep it nice and tight. Level the wings. We'll go ahead and go right into our downwind. Get a nice tight pattern here in our 152. No reason to go super wide at all, especially when there's no other traffic in the pattern. So we're coming up. Get into our downwind leg, about 1,100 feet. Once we're at our 1,100 feet in the downwind right here, go ahead right into our first notch of flaps. Approach Cessna 124 Mike Charlie left downwind for 33 left. Like to do a stop and go.
124 Mike Charlie, wind 230 at 6, runway 33 left, clear touch and go. Stop and go, actually.
Clear stop and go, 33 left. 124 Mike Charlie. So now what we're waiting for here in the downwind is we're going to wait until our wing is, or the runway is 45 degrees behind our left wing, and that's when we'll make our base turns. So I'm just going to keep checking. Again, monitoring that altitude just like when we're doing our ground reference maneuvers, in and out, in and out. About
November
45 degrees
Juliet
behind the
Romeo,
wing.
Kennedy altimeter
Roughly
3025,
right about here.
enter,
I will start my base turn.
straight in, make a straight in approach runway 4
I will get my flaps the second notch,
left.
and then when we return final, that's when we'll go for the last notch flaps.
Direct in 4 left for Gulfstream 8 Juliet Romeo.
And now a short field landing, what you want to do is you want to pick a point that you're going to land on, and you want to be within a very close distance of that point that you pick. So I'm going to try and land right on the numbers. I'm aiming right for the numbers. 33 left is where I want to touch down, and you want to try and stop as quickly as possible. So to stop as quickly as possible, you want to not only hit the brakes, but you want to do aerodynamic braking as well. You're going to put the flaps all the way to full, and you're going to bring the yoke full aft. That's going to give you full aerodynamic braking
on Echo,
in order
cross
to
runway
do
4
a
left.
short field landing. And again, my target
short.
is The
Runway
numbers
31 right.
33 left is where I want to try and touch down.
Continue Echo, cross 4 left, and we'll hold short 31 right, JetBlue 494.
When you're doing a short field landing, you're not so worried about the smoothness. Obviously, you don't want to be so hard that you break the airplane, but you want to be able to be nice and firm, get onto the point that you've selected, and be able to get the airplane stopped. So let's see if I can get right onto the numbers. I'm high, so let me see. Let's see if I can get right onto the numbers here for this landing. And then I'm going to do my full aerodynamic braking. Full brake, flaps up, yoke all the way into my crotch to get that full aerodynamic braking from the elevator. So let's see what I can do here. There's numbers of 3-3 right there. Boom, full brakes, flaps up, yoke right in my crotch, and you come as quickly as you can to a short field stop. Boom, just like that. That was fairly good. Short field landing. And now we're stopped, and now we can go.
Speedbird 116 Alpha Heavy, squawk 1072, mode Charlie, please.
Have a question for touch go, but you might be lost. Full flaps on landing and want takeoff. Do you normally change your flaps on touch and go, or you? No, you always you put your flaps back to 0 for a normal takeoff on a touch and go.
Speedbird 116 Alpha Heavy, runway 4 left, taxi right Alpha, straight kilo, cross runway 31 left.
Right Alpha, straight kilo, course 31 left, Speedbird 116.
Eric Flight has got it right. Yep, you land with the flaps. Once you touch down, you retract the flaps after the landing, and then you put the throttle in full forward after you retract the flaps all the way. That's the proper way to do it on the touch and go. I really don't think I could have done much better with that short field landing, Chad. I'm going to be honest with you. That was pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to intentionally come in high this time, and we're going to do a forward slip into a landing here for the next one. So here's my 700 feet. I'm clear left. I'll do my crosswind turn. And so I'm going to do my base final turn, and I'm going to intentionally stay very high, and we're going to do a forward slip to landing. So forward slip, what you want to do is you want to get the wing down into the wind, use full opposite rudder. You're just kind of using the ailerons then to maintain the center line of the runway, and the idea is by using that much rudder and side slipping the aircraft, so you're coming in at an angle as you're using the force of the air against the airplane to help slow you down so that you can lose a lot of altitude in a short period of time, get down to the runway without picking up too much speed,
right Echo,
so that you can make an appropriate landing.
You can make
and this is if you're coming in way too high for the approach, but you really need to try and make it in for whatever reason. If it's an emergency situation and you really need to get a landing, you can use this forward slip to kind of make it an effective landing. So we'll see if I can get the sim to do a semi-decent forward slip
Fox in the ramp, JetBlue 494.
into a landing here.
New York departure, JetBlue 285, ready to taxi, holding short of Alpha. (118) Juliet Romeo, wind 130 tree, runway 4 left, clear touch and go. Upon departure, make a left crosswind departure.
Alright, clear touch and go 4 left, and in the upwind, the left climbing turn for 8 Juliet Romeo.
Cessna 124, Mike Charlie left down.
124, Mike Charlie, what is your intentions?
Another touch and go.
4 Mike Charlie, wind 2306, runway 33 left, clear touch and go.
Clear touch and go, 4 Mike Charlie. Alright, so we got the clearance for the touch and go. I'll make my base turn here, get my flaps in. So you really want to get your flaps in all the way. I don't remember if you do the forward slip with full flaps or only 2 notches of flaps in the 152. I'll be honest. I'm going to do it with full flaps, but I don't remember in the 152 if you do it with full flaps or not. I honestly don't remember, chat, so you have to bear with me on that. We're going to do it with full flaps and see what happens. But you can see I'm intentionally very high. I'm coming onto the final, and I'm still at my traffic pattern altitude of 1,100 feet.
JetBlue 285, runway 4 right, taxi right Alpha.
So you can see I'm high, very high, and then at some point I'm just going to say let it go. And my wind, I believe, is from my left, so I'm going to dip the wing to the left, use full right rudder, and we're going to slip it right about now. So power to idle, full rudder, and I'm going to get that aileron down just to kind of maintain the center line of the runway.
Romeo, maintain VFR.
And you can see the airplane really, and my rudder pedals are slipping out under my feet here under my desk, but you can see that the airplane's really not gaining much speed when I'm doing this. maybe a few knots here and there, but nothing that's going to make it unsafe for the landing at the end. You can really lose that altitude quick without gaining too much airspeed. Once you're at a safe spot, you let it roll out, and you do a normal landing. Didn't do the best job of maintaining the center line on that one, but it's a little bit funky in the sim.
118 Juliet Romeo contact.
It's also something
tower,
that you can feel a lot better
day.
in the real airplane. You can feel the physics behind it when you're doing that slip. That kind of makes it a little bit easier to do.
285. Just want to confirm that's 4 right and that's 4 left.
Sorry, 4 left, runway, yeah, runway 4 left, taxi right alpha left. Let's try this one more time.
How many
Runway
feet AGL was I when I nosed it down? About 1,000 feet.
Straight kilo.
1,000 feet above ground level.
31 left.
Okay, no problem. 4 left, right alpha, straight kilo, and we'll cross 31 left. For,
I like doing the slip with crosswinds. Yeah, it's a lot more fun with the crosswinds because then you can roll right from the slip right into your crosswind landing. Definitely a lot more enjoyable experience for sure. If you enjoy doing that kind of thing in the airplane, which I do. So. Let's see, Chad. I'm going to try now to do just a power off 180. Again, this isn't necessarily a private pilot maneuver, as much as I do think it should be. And I'll be honest with you, I think the power off 180 should be a private pilot maneuver because what happens if you lose your engine in the pattern? The student needs to be able, especially even on a solo, to be able to make sure that they're going to be able to do a landing if they lose that power. So I would always make my students, right before the solo flight, I would have them do one of these like pseudo power off 180s to make sure that they know like this is what you do in case you lose your engine to get back to the airport. So we'll see if we can do that. And approach Cessna 124 Mike Charlie, left down 13 through left, like to request a short approach for a touch and go.
4 Mike Charlie, winds 2306, runway 33 left, cleared for the short approach and touch and go.
Cleared short approach, cleared touch and go, 4 Mike Charlie. So what'll happen, chat, is once we get a beam the numbers, I'm going to pull my power to idle and we'll start the power off 180. And then my goal is to land, and again, this is another one of those maneuvers where you want to try and see if you can pick a point you're aiming for. Now, normally you just want to make the runway, obviously, but in this case, commercial level, you kind of want to pick a point, and you got to try and make that point. So I'm going to try once again to land right on the numbers of 3-3 for this power off 180, and we'll see if I'm going to be able to do that. So right as soon as I'm about, you know what, I'm going to make it even harder on myself. I'm going to pull it right now. Engine's gone, and now I'm going to try and see if I can glide to make a landing on the numbers for runway 33 left without adding any power the rest of the way through. You still use your flaps as you need to. You don't have to use all the flaps if you don't want to in this situation now. This is just whatever you need to do to get to your point that you've selected for this power off 180 without adding any power for the rest of the way. And the reason you request a short approach, you can see I'm keeping it in nice and tight because I want to make sure that I make it to my point at an appropriate angle so that I can get my landing. So let's go ahead and go. I'm going to go with the full flaps here. Power's still out. I'm not going to touch the power whatsoever. And I think this should work out pretty well. Right about on speed, what I want to be. Yeah, this is going to be great. Perfect. Just kind of coast it in to runway 33. Again, if it's a little firm, that's fine because you're really just trying to make your point. I was maybe just a little bit after the point, but that wasn't bad at all. I'll take the harder landing. Power off 180. Boom, just like that. This next time around, we'll do a go-around. So now on a go-around, the one thing that you do not want to do on a go-around in one of these planes, whether it's a Cessna, Piper, or whatever, is you do not want to retract the flaps to 0 right away. That will put you into a spin and most likely kill you. So you have to be careful. It's just one notch of flaps. You get that nose up, you power up. As you get your speed, then you get your flaps to 1 and then flaps to 0 as you're doing the go-around. I don't know how many times I had students that would do the go-around and my hand was ready for it because they would immediately want to go put the flaps to 0. And if you don't catch it, there's a chance that the airplane could spin out on you, and that's not a good situation, especially when you're only maybe like 150 feet off the ground. So, got to be very careful when you're doing those go-arounds. Yeah, going flaps to 0 immediately on a go around in one of these, like a Cessna or a Piper, that's going to be a very, very, very dangerous situation. As you build up that speed and increase the speed on the go around, you're going to slowly bring those flaps up. Cessna 124, Mike Charlie, left downwind, touch and go.
Cessna 4 Mike Charlie, wind 2306, runway 33 left, clear touch and go.
33 left, clear touch and go, Cessna 4 Mike Charlie. Simulated alligator, just short of touchdown spotting. Yeah.
Can you approach Philippine 127? We have information, Papa.
Oh yeah. Then that's exactly why you don't put the flaps right to 0, because you lose a significant amount of lift at the time when you need it the most.
Philippine 127 heavy, New York departure, read back correct, runway 4 left, taxi left Bravo, right Kilo, cross runway 31 left at Kilo.
Gonna be normal
Taxi
approach speed
4 left,
when I do the go around.
left Bravo, right Kilo, cross 31 left at Kilo for 4 left, Philippine 127.
Normal approach speed. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a normal approach, act like I'm going for a normal landing. At some point then, as we get closer, I would yell at my student, hey,
heavy,
go around.
Wind 130 tree, runway 4 left, clear for takeoff, heading 100.
Clear for takeoff, 4 left, speedbird 116 alpha, thank you, heading 100.
So here we go, we're coming in casually. My student's fat, dumb, and happy, and then I tell him, go around. So you go around, just 1 notch of flaps, you pitch up, you start climbing out. It's a very easy, simple maneuver, nothing crazy about it whatsoever. Airspeed's picking up, you got a positive rate, all is good. Cessna 124 Mike Charlie going around, 33 left. This last pattern will be a full stop. And now he speeds up, so now I can bring the flaps up another notch.
Roger.
And now another notch, and now it's just a normal pattern, and this will be a full stop. Yeah, what 55, 60, 65, I think it's like 55, 60 knots is going to be your normal approach speed with the flaps full on a Cessna 152 Kenny Monster. And this last landing will be my last of the evening. This will be a full stop, and we're going to be calling it good. So if you guys want to get one more landing rate guess in, I'm going to try and make this my smoothest landing as possible.
We have Papa,
so if you
we're
guys
ready
want to make a landing rate guess, go ahead and throw it in the chat. I'm going to milk the crap out of this one.
700 New York
Nothing
departure,
special,
you
just a
cleared
normal,
to
smooth
Dallas
landing.
Fort Worth Airport. Kennedy 5 departure, accept fly heading 100. Radar vectors Robbinsville, then is filed. Maintain 5,000, expect flight level 380, 10 minutes after departure. Squawk.
Getting a little wide on this pattern.
1066.
Of all the patterns, that was probably my widest, not my best, but. And last one.
And American 700, we are cleared to Dallas Fort Worth via the Kennedy 5, Robbinsville, except heading 100 on departure. And I believe that was 5,000 on the initial. And what was the transponder code again for American 700?
American 700, 1066, and hold back on the read back brake. Cessna 4 Mike Charlie, wind 2206, runway 33 left, clear to land.
Clear to land 33 left, Cessna 4 Mike Charlie.
Speedbird 116 Alpha Heavy, radar contact, say altitude.
Passing 3,500.
Alright, one more landing. Put your landing rate guess in chat. Last chance to get it right.
Speedbird 116 Alpha Heavy, turn right,
I am
heading
going to try and make it as
climb and
smooth as
maintain,
possible.
11,000, 11,000.
Right, heading 130, climbing 11,000, speedbird 116 Alpha.
American 700, just read back your squawk, please.
1066, and that was correct on the initial 10,000 or 5,000.
American 700, read back is correct. Advise ready to taxi, holding short of Alpha, expect 4 left.
Let's see what we can do. Somehow this last pattern was probably going to be my worst, but that's alright. See if my landing will not be the
JetBlue
worst. Hopefully it'll be the
285,
best.
fly heading 100, wind 130 tree, runway 4 left, cleared for takeoff.
Fly heading 100 for left, clear for takeoff for JetBlue 285.
I am absolutely 100% going to milk this. Okay, let's see. Come on. Settle in smooth. Minus 92, so it wasn't even my best one, but we tried. That's going to make Dub Aviator the closest, since he guessed minus 88. Nicely done. So now I don't remember any of the taxiways that I slipped, and I don't have a taxiway diagram up, so this is going to be awkward. See if I can quickly pull up a taxiway diagram for Long Island.
Speedwork 116 Alpha Heavy, proceed direct Betty.
Betty direct.
I think this is Bravo 3 that we exited on. Yes, it is.
The approach American 2906 is with you 12000, descending to cross Cameron 1000.
American 2906, New York approach, depart Cameron, heading tree 60, then
now we gotta wait for some taxi instructions.
3000 vectors, ILS runway 4, right approach, Kennedy altimeter 3025.
Depart Cameron 360, vector for the approach.
How much fuel do we got left? Let's see.
3025, American 2906.
Not a small amount. We're okay. 4 Mike Charlie is off on Bravo 3, taxi to the FBO to the south there.
4 Mike Charlie, welcome to Long Island MacArthur. Charlie and Sierra to the ramp.
Charlie, Sierra to the ramp. Have a good night, John. Thanks for the help.
Thanks for the practice.
Thanks for coming in today.
JetBlue 285, radar contact tail.
Crossing 31 left by
I am 100% going to get off of this frequency now, Chet,
we're
because that
passing,
is just too
2008.
much at this point. We're going to Unicom. Yeah. Let's see, Jay Smitty and pilot Cinnamon Eric Flight and other rear pilots. If you had a choice between a small towered field for lessons or a Class D with no intention of becoming a professional pilot, would you choose over the other? Oh, if you're not planning on becoming a professional pilot, uncontrolled field, without a doubt. If you want to be a professional pilot, I'd say controlled field because you want to get used to that ATC field. But if you're not looking to be a pro pilot, I would say uncontrolled field because you're going to be able to get a lot more done at an uncontrolled field than you would necessarily maybe at a towered field, especially if it's a busy towered airport. You want to make the most of your time and your money. Part of the training is going to force you to go to a towered airport anyway for that private, and just like if you're at a towered airport, you have to go to an uncontrolled field. It's all part of the training, so you will experience both, but I'd rather be based at an uncontrolled field because it's just going to be more efficient, better bang for your buck, because usually it's a lot less busy than a towered field, a lot easier when it comes to training like that if you're not planning on being a professional pilot. That would be my opinion, and my opinion only on that. Go ahead and pull the parking brake and shut her down. Perfect. Turn all lights off. Boom. We done. We have arrived. Didn't necessarily go back to Bayport, but that's okay. She looks perfectly fine at Long Island MacArthur as well. So what do we do? The music stopped. Why did the music stop? Hello? There we go. How long were we streaming for? 2 hours and 14 minutes. Okay, so I did go nice length stream. I was hoping for at least 2 hours. So we took off out of Bayport. We did some private pilot maneuvers. We did some slow flights, stall, steep tried to do accelerated stall, didn't work very well. We did our emergency descent, got down, did turns around a point, did some S-turns across the road, rectangular pattern. We came in, did some landings at Bayport, got to experience the glory of 2-3 November out on Long Island. And then we came in and did some regular traffic pattern work here, short field, soft field, go around, forward slip to landings, all those kind of things here for good practice. for the sim this evening, and basically all the private pilot maneuvers that you really need to be able to do for your check ride if you were to do a private pilot check ride. So hope you guys enjoyed what you saw tonight. I don't know when I'm going to stream again next, chat, because I do have my first trip on the 175 is coming up on Tuesday. There's a slight possibility I might do a stream tomorrow night. If I do, it's going to be a short one, because I don't have to be up that early on Tuesday, which is nice, actually. My flight out of LaGuardia is not until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I might do a stream tomorrow night. We'll see how I'm feeling. I might decide to spend time with the family. I don't know. If I do stream tomorrow night, it'll be short and sweet. But we'll see. See how I feel tomorrow. Looking forward to that trip on Tuesday for sure. And then if I do not stream tomorrow, after my IOE, I don't know what my schedule is yet. Until I finish this first trip, they haven't assigned me any schedule. It's going to be reserved for the end of May and then all of June, unfortunately. But I'll just try and stream when I can. When I can or when I feel like it, really, is when I'm going to stream. So that, obviously, as you guys know, a lot of the normal, regular guys know, no set schedule, just when I can, I'll be on. I'll try and teach you some things. We'll try and have some fun. Thank you so much for coming in tonight, guys. I really appreciate it. Let's see who's still streaming tonight. Let's go hand you guys off to someone. Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and hit up Sim Caesar. Actually, no, I think Sim Caesar is about to close up his stream, actually. So let's go ahead. It looks like our buddy Nick Resla is actually streaming. So let's go ahead and hand you over to Nick Resla since he's got himself. He looks like he's doing the ZEBO737. So why don't you guys go ahead and enjoy our friend Nick Resla, member of the Flying Club, and the ZEBO737. Tell him I said hello. I know he was in the chat a little bit tonight as well. So we really appreciate his support. We'll go ahead and hand him the stream. So I'm going to start this raid. Thank you for coming in today. Have a great night. Stay safe. Get the vaccine if you can for COVID. I had it. It sucked. I'm going to try and get my vaccine in June since it'll have been a few months now after actually having it. But again, one more time. Good night, guys. Thank you.